Hey, this is Brian Stillman at NAB with BeTerrific, BeTerrific.com. We're in New York City at the Javits Convention Center, checking out all the gear, checking up on all the technology here at NAB, National Association of Broadcasters Conference. As always, you can see the floor out behind me. I think you can see the floor out behind me. There's all sorts of stuff going on out here, all sorts of cool technology. Right now, I'm here with Doug Hinahara. He's with ACTUS Digital. And you work in the compliance space, shall we say?
That's correct.
How's that? Why don't you explain a little bit to our viewers what that means? This is a downstream of the whole broadcast thing. It's you described it as
post-broadcast workflow.
Post-broadcast.
Typically,
so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, as you said, we're kind of downstream from the production. So this is typically broadcasters recording and monitoring what they're putting out over the air, over cable, over the top, however they're distributing the content. And there's a couple aspects to compliance, right? One is regulatory. So there are actual, in the US, FCC regulations. In other countries, it's other regulatory agencies. But things like loudness, captions here in the US, that actually have fines associated with them if you don't adhere, if you're not compliant, right? So that's one big aspect of it. To be alerted to the fact that you're out of compliance, but also to have the recorded video to perhaps defend a case where you're out of compliance. And then there are operational compliance, which aren't really regulatory or subject to fines, but maybe just to confirm that you're running your operation the way you want it to be, so it's compliant within your processes.
Okay.
So for SCUDdy triggers, Nielsen encoding, things of that nature that you can keep track of.
So it's recording all this. What's actually going on? It's not just a big hard drive record. I mean, I could record we're recording all this, but that's very different than what you do. What is your system and what is it doing?
It is kind of the basis of it. As we've discussed, we call it a media intelligence platform, but the basis really is to be able to record all these signals, whether they're video, audio, over the top, etc., to record those continuously 24/7. That's really the basis of it. We are then extracting any metadata we can from the content, closed captions, for instance, measuring the loudness. All of this becomes important metadata that we correlate with the content. So the recording really is a fundamental part of it.
Right.
Obviously, it's all based on that. And then customers make determinations how long they want to retain that content. Where it starts to extend beyond compliance is customers realized they had all this recorded content and they had the ability to not just record it in a low resolution version, but they could actually record high resolution as well. And now they can repurpose this. So we give them all the tools to repurpose directly to social media or other outlets directly from the same platform. So it goes far beyond compliance.
What is the most challenging aspect of this? Is it the technology? Is it the constant recording? Is it the software and systems that are extracting that metadata? Is it the customers? I don't know. What would you find the most challenging aspect of this is?
Well, we've been doing this for 15 plus years. It's really 100% of the focus of our company. Right. So we feel like we have a really good handle on it. Of course, the goalpost is always moving, right? Sure. I think the latest challenges that we're seeing being introduced technologically are going to be how do we integrate, not how do we integrate, when we have integrated AI as we have, what do you actually want to do with it?
Right.
And we're seeing some very interesting applications for artificial intelligence and machine learning in terms of if you're in a market or an application where you don't have the closed captions, of course, what's being said in the video is a very important metadata. And that all becomes searchable. So if you don't have that, to be able to extract that speech-to-text processes, facial recognition, celebrity recognition, even contextual recognition. Is this a happy scene? Is somebody angry in this scene? Whatever it might be. So it's really just a lot of ways to generate more. And actually, let me just add one other thing to that. We're getting requests for being able to do effectively video optical character recognition. So I want to be able to track lower thirds,
right,
or 800 numbers in infomercials, that kind of thing, and verify that those ran properly. So there's always new challenges, which is great.
There's all these applications that are growing out of the fact of, hey, we have this giant repository of footage and the software to analyze it. What can we do with it? Like your client, I imagine your clients are. So it's that. It seems like that constantly evolving discovery of use to put this info to. Whereas in the beginning it was just compliance, but now it's like we've got it. What can we do with it? How does ACTUS sort of step up to meet those requests and to meet those challenges?
Well, the nice thing, there's a couple of ways to answer that question. One nice thing is I've had many customers here, prospects here, they have no interest in compliance. It's all about clipping, recording and clipping and repurposing content. So it's a very modular system. You don't have to get all the compliance. You can get it just for clipping. We're also highly responsive. Again, this is 100% our focus. So very responsive to customer requests. Obviously, we have to validate those of having a bigger market appeal.
Right.
But if we do, and depending upon the customer, we react very quickly to implementing those new features. It's just kind of a critical, important part of what we do.
Have you ever been surprised by a request, by someone wanting to approach the technology in a way you just did not anticipate?
I think what the most confusing thing I see, and it's nobody's fault, certainly not our customer's fault, but they start to blur the lines between post-broadcast, where we sit, and then reaching back into production.
Okay.
Right? So for instance, one example I can give you is, I have this content that doesn't have captions. Can you do this speech to text? So we could do all that, but now they actually want us to insert the captions, and that kind of starts to get outside of our wheelhouse, and to get back into the production area. So you get some of those crossovers.
Again, it's people looking at the technology, seeing what it can do, and thinking, what can I pull out of this? Which I think is sort of fascinating.
Yeah.
Now, you said that you guys have really started to expand into the Americas. Can you talk a little bit about the growth that ACTUS has had?
Yeah, we're really excited about this. As I said, ACTUS has been building over 15 years, very successfully, primarily internationally. That's not to say we don't have very good customers here. We have some very high-end blue chip customers in the U.S., but with the growth in this particular product space, it was just untenable. We needed to expand. So now we've really expanded into the U.S. and the Americas specifically. We see this market continuing to grow and our team continuing to grow here. So our biggest challenge here in the Americas is, as I said, we have some very great installations, very good customers, high-end customers, but we're just not as well known. So that's my big challenge. I appreciate this venue to get that word out there a little bit, because we're here now in force.
Last question: as the technology continues to evolve, what do you see as the biggest sort of development in the last few years? You've been doing this for a long time. The last few years that have really allowed things to sort of grow and flourish from a technological point of view for this type of technology, for this type of application.
Right. I think it's primarily those applications on getting beyond compliance.
Right.
All the various clip repurposing. I don't know if I mentioned it specifically, but all the digital media groups within these broadcasters that want the content that's going there, but they need to get it to social media.
Right.
And just giving them easy tools to do that. So it's just been that demand, which is great. It's extended the whole reach of our product way beyond compliance, and we only see that part of it growing more.
Great. Doug, thank you so much for being on the show.
Appreciate it, Brian.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
That's Doug Hinahara from ACTUS Digital. We're here with BeTerrific. We are BeTerrific, and we're here at NAB 2019 in New York City at the Jacob Javits Convention Center. Stick around. We are going to have some more interviews for you today. We will be back tomorrow with even more coverage of the event. We will see you soon.